What if I told you that under one country on Earth lies something so terrifying that scientists refuse to talk about it? Not because it's dangerous today, but because what they found there should not exist. A city that was never meant to be found. An object that rewrites everything we know about human history. And a secret so big that entire governments have tried to bury it. This country is Iran. And the reason it's feared has nothing to do with politics. It's because of what lies beneath its sands. And once you see it, you will never look at history the same way again. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever walked through a forest and wondered what's buried beneath your feet? Imagine that, but instead of a forest, imagine a country the size of the UK, France, Spain, and Germany combined, where every single inch of soil has been inhabited for thousands of years, where entire civilizations rose and fell, and were simply buried by time. Iran is one of the oldest continuous civilizations on Earth. The Persian Empire once stretched from Greece to India, from Egypt to Central Asia. It was the largest empire the world had ever seen. But here's what most people don't know. Under modern Iran there are cities that have never been excavated. There are archives of clay tablets that have never been read. There are artifacts that challenge everything we think we know about human history. And there are discoveries so strange that scientists have quietly buried them in academic papers, hoping no one would notice. Why? Because if these discoveries were widely known, the entire timeline of civilization would have to be rewritten. And that is terrifying. Let's start in 2001. In southeastern Iran, in the province of Kerman, there was a flood. Nothing unusual for the region. But when the water receded, locals found something strange in the mud. Objects. Beautifully carved vessels made of chlorite stone. Copper figures. Gold ornaments. Nothing like anything ever seen before. Word spread fast. Antique dealers from Dubai and Europe rushed in. Within months, thousands of artifacts were smuggled out of Iran. Sold to private collectors. Lost forever to science. By the time Iranian authorities stopped the looting, the damage was done. But what remained underground was even more shocking. When archaeologists finally excavated the site, a place called Jaraft, they discovered something that should not exist. A Bronze Age civilization. 3rd millennium BC. Contemporary with the Sumerians of Mesopotamia. But here's the problem. No one had ever heard of it. Not a single mention in Sumerian texts. Not a single reference in Akkadian records. A major urban center completely unknown to history. The carving style on the chlorite vessels is unique. Serpents, eagles, mythological creatures, arranged in geometric frames with precision that shouldn't be possible with Bronze Age tools. And on some artifacts, there are inscriptions. A writing system that no one can decipher. An unknown language. From an unknown civilization. That existed at the same time as the Sumerians, but was never mentioned by them. How is that possible? Most of Jaraft is still underground. Only a fraction has been excavated. What else is buried there? We don't know. And that is the first reason Iran is feared. Now let's travel to southwestern Iran, to the province of Khuzestan. In the middle of a flat plain stands a ziggurat, Chokha Zanbil, built around 1250 BC by the Elamite king Untashnapirisha, originally 52 meters tall. Today only 25 meters remain. But here's the detail that will make your jaw drop. Every single brick in this structure, millions of bricks, is inscribed with the king's name. Every single one. Think about that. You're building a massive religious complex, and you decide to write your name on every brick. Not just on the visible ones. On every brick. Including the ones that would never be seen. This wasn't construction. This was an obsession. Untashnapirisha built Chokha Zanbil as the center of a new city. A new religious capital for the Elamite kingdom. Palaces, temples, underground tombs. A massive complex designed to be the heart of a civilization. And then nothing. The city was never inhabited. Not a single person ever lived there. The ziggurat stood empty. The temple sat silent. For 3,000 years. Why? Why would a king build an entire city and then abandon it before anyone moved in? Theories exist. Maybe he died. Maybe the political situation changed. Maybe there was a religious taboo. But the truth is we don't know. And that's what makes it terrifying. A king spent years building a city from millions of named bricks and never told anyone why he left it empty. His secret died with him. And it's been waiting for 3,000 years. Now we go to southeastern Iran, to a place called Shari-Sutte, the Burnt City. It existed from 3200 to 1800 BC, a crossroads of trade between Mesopotamia, Central Asia, and the Indus Valley. At its peak, around 5,000 people lived here. In 2006, archaeologists found something that stopped them cold. A female skull, aged 25 to 30 years old. High status based on the jewelry buried with her. But it wasn't the skull that shocked them. It was what was inside the left eye socket. An artificial eye. A hemisphere of resin inlaid with gold. On its surface were tiny capillaries made of gold wire thinner than a millimeter, simulating blood vessels. The diameter of this artificial eye about 3 centimeters. The age approximately 4,800 years. This is the oldest known prosthetic eye in the world by thousands of years. According to everything we know about ancient medicine, this should not exist. The level of surgical knowledge required to fit such a device. The craftsmanship to create gold capillaries thinner than a human hair. The understanding of anatomy to design an eye that would actually function. All of it impossible for the time. Who made this eye? What tools did they use? How did they perform the surgery? We have no answers. Only questions. And the eye itself staring back at us from 4,800 years ago. But Shari-Sutte had another surprise. Among the artifacts, archaeologists found a clay goblet. A simple drinking vessel. But on its surface, there was a series of drawings. 5 images. A goat jumping toward a tree. At first it seemed ordinary. But then someone rotated the goblet. And something incredible happened. The images moved. The goat appeared to leap. Reach the tree. And then the sequence repeated. 5 frames. Looped. Continuous animation. This goblet is 5,000 years old. It is the oldest known example of animation in the world by thousands of years. The Lumiere brothers invented cinema in 1895. But someone in Iran 5,000 years earlier had already figured out the principle. They understood that sequential images create the illusion of motion. They designed a vessel specifically to show it. What else did they understand? What other principles of science and art did they discover that we don't give them credit for? And why do our history books not mention this? Now let's go to the edge of the Lut Desert, one of the hottest places on Earth. Surface temperature 70 degrees Celsius. At the edge of this inferno stands the ancient city of Shah, 2800 to 1800 BC, a major trading center. Here archaeologists found something that changes how we understand power. A bronze standard. A pole topped with the figure of an eagle with outstretched wings. Age approximately 4,400 years. This is the oldest known depiction of an eagle as a symbol of state power. Now think about this. The eagle appears as a symbol of power in Assyria, Persia, Rome, the Holy Roman Empire, Russia, the United States. Almost every great imperial tradition in Eurasia. What if they all came from the same source? What if the eagle, as a symbol of power, originated in a single place and spread through trade routes across the ancient world? We have no direct proof. But the coincidence is too precise to ignore. And it raises a terrifying question. What else did we inherit from a civilization that we don't even know existed? Everyone knows Persepolis, the ceremonial capital of the Achaemenid Empire. Massive staircases, the gate of all nations, the hall of 100 columns. But what most people don't know is what was found underneath. In 1933 and 1934, archaeologists discovered an archive. More than 30,000 clay tablets, written in Elamite, the administrative records of the Persian Empire. Here's what they reveal. Women working on the construction of Persepolis received equal pay to men. Nursing mothers received extra rations. This is documented in government records from the 5th century BC. In Greece, women had no such rights. In Rome, they had no such rights. But in the largest empire the world had ever seen, they did. Most of these tablets are still untranslated. They're stored at the Oriental Institute in Chicago. Work has been ongoing for almost 100 years. Every decade new translations emerge, and every time they change our understanding of how this empire worked. What else is written on those tablets? What secrets about ancient society are still waiting to be read? And why has it taken nearly a century to translate them? Now for something completely different. In the city of Nushabad in central Iran, workers were digging a well. They broke through the ground and found a tunnel. They pulled on the thread and unraveled a world. An underground city. 3 levels of tunnels and chambers descending 18 meters into the earth. Total explored length nearly 10 kilometers. And that's only part of it. This was built during the Sassanid Empire, 1st to 6th century AD. But here's what makes it terrifying. It wasn't built in a panic. It was designed. The tunnels have air shafts, water channels, niches for oil lamps at regular intervals, different rooms for different purposes: living, storage, ritual. The ceilings are high enough for a grown man to walk upright without stooping. This wasn't a hiding place. It was a parallel city designed for people to live underground for weeks or months at a time with food, water, light, and air. The tunnels connect to several buildings on the surface, including a mosque. This means the system was used across different eras, added to, expanded, over centuries. Who built the original tunnels? Who planned this entire underground world? There is no complete map. Much of it is still unexplored. And somewhere in the darkness, there are chambers no human has entered in over 1,000 years. In the Zanjan province, in an active salt mine in 1993, workers found a leg. A human leg with skin, nails, and clothing still intact. This was the first of the salt men of Iran. 7 mummies have been found so far from different eras. One is 1,700 years old. Another is from the early Common Era. Different periods, but the same mountain. Salt is the perfect preservative. It dehydrates organic material instantly. Bacteria cannot survive. The mummies are so well preserved that one still has an earring in its ear. Individual hairs are visible. Clothing shows the weave pattern. Skin tissue is intact. One mummy, an elderly man with long white hair, was caught by surprise. Next to him, an iron knife, a clay pot with nuts, a leather boot. He was working in the mine, and something happened instantly. This is his last moment, preserved in salt for thousands of years. What killed him? A cave-in? Toxic gas? Something else? We don't know. And the mountain is still an active mine. More bodies may be waiting. In 2003, an earthquake destroyed the city of Bam. The ancient citadel, the largest adobe structure in the world, collapsed. 180,000 square meters of walls, towers, palaces, and markets reduced to rubble. But the earthquake revealed something. When the outer layers of mud brick fell away, older structures were exposed. Not from the Safavid period, but from the Parthian and Sassanid eras. The turn of the Common Era. Bam wasn't a 15th century fortress. It was built on top of a much older city that had been completely hidden for over 1,000 years. And beneath those older layers, sensors detected even more structures. Possibly Achaemenid. Possibly even older. Bam isn't one city. It's a stack of cities. Each era built on top of the previous one. Each layer hiding the one below. The earthquake destroyed the visible city and accidentally revealed the invisible one. What else is buried under Iran's cities? How many more layers are waiting to be uncovered? At the border of Iran and Turkmenistan there are hills. Nisa, the capital of the Parthian Empire. The Parthians were the only empire that stopped Rome. For 500 years they held the east. Rome could not conquer them. Several times Roman armies tried, and each time Parthian horsemen drove them back. But here's the strange part. The Parthians left almost no written records. A massive empire that ruled for half a millennium, and we know almost nothing about its inner workings. In 1948, Soviet archaeologists began excavating Nisa. They found an archive. Thousands of clay ostraca inscribed pottery shards. Administrative records. Economic documents. In Aramaic script from the Parthian era. This is the largest known Parthian archive. And yet, it's a tiny fraction of what must have existed. A fraction. Most of it has never been fully translated. The history of one of the greatest empires of the ancient world is still hidden under those hills. We know more about Rome. We know more about Athens. But the empire that defeated Rome is almost silent. What secrets does it hold? What battles? What alliances? What knowledge? Buried under the hills at Iran's border. Waiting. Iran is not just a country. It is a layer cake of civilizations. Each era built on top of the one before. Each generation unknowingly preserving the secrets of the past. Every reign reveals new artifacts. Every construction project uncovers ruins. Every mine holds a surprise. The question is not what has Iran hidden from the world. The question is what haven't we found yet? And when we do find it, will it confirm what we think we know, or will it destroy everything we believe about human history? That is why Iran is the most feared country on earth. Not because of its politics, but because of what lies beneath its soil. And the truth is still buried, waiting. If you want to see the actual artifacts we talked about today, the artificial eye, the animation goblet, the underground city, I've linked images in the description. And if you want to join me on the next journey into the forbidden history of our world, hit subscribe. Because the next discovery could change everything. What will we find next?